Hi guys, how are you today? So today we'll be talking about some health topics. First of all, we're going to describe some health news that we're talking about, some popular items that I think are very interesting to me. So let's jump right into that. So daily chocolate intake linked to lower risk of diabetes and heart disease. So a lot of us were thinking that we can't, shouldn't be eating chocolate because it's full of fat. But actually, it's not true because daily chocolate intake linked lower to diabetes and heart disease. So let's go right through here. A study of co-author of Professor Xaviero Strangers, visiting academic of the University of Warwick Medical School, United Kingdom, and scientific director of Department of Population Health at the Luxembourg University of Health, which is the LIH, which is like the NIH in here in America. So what they say, chocolate is often perceived as a treat that should be enjoyed from time to time, given its high fat and sugar content. This is no surprise. Overconsumption can lead to health problems such as tooth decay and obesity. However, studies are increasingly suggesting regular, um, moderate chocolate consumption may lead significant health benefits, particularly when it comes to dark chocolate. So let's just check what you guys are seeing here. Can lead to health problems such as tooth decay and however, studies are increasing regular, moderate chocolate consumption may lead significant health. So, we're talking about chocolate and chocolate consumption, whether it's good for you or not. Now, what I like to do is I like to have a chocolate bar per day, at least maybe a half a bar. Now, the reason that I like to eat chocolate is because it has the high fiber content. But you have to look at the bars. Not all of the bars are the same. Some bars have, 3 to 4 grams. Some bars have less grams. Also, you need to look at the how much of what is the what is the serving size of chocolate. Okay, so the serving size usually, for example, is 10 blocks, like in this bar that I bought by Pure Chocolate Divine Bar. Okay, so this bar has the serving size is 10 little blocks. Okay, so you can feel the little blocks here. So 1 2 3 4 5, so 10 of them is about just 2 rows in here, 1 and 2 row. So 2 of these rows have 6 grams of fiber. Now that's a lot, but there's 21 grams of fat, which is also quite a significant amount. But what these guys are saying is that it's actually pretty good that we can enjoy this type of chocolate, and we can enjoy the fat calories that are coming from this chocolate, because these fat calories are very significant for our health. We need these fat calories for our brain to work. So it's okay, even though there is some sugar, which is 6 grams of sugar in 10, which is you have about how many servings here? You got about 2.5 servings. So you got 2 rows, 2 more rows, and 1 more row. So you have about 2.5 servings in this 1 bar of chocolate. So if you eat the whole bar, you'll be consuming about 15 grams of fiber, which is a good high amount of fiber to be consuming. So sometimes every day I would probably eat a half of this, and this is a good amount. This is 6 grams of fiber. Now you can find some bars now that have more fiber, but this is a pretty high content of fiber in the chocolate. So now this is something which is great. So now let's go back to these guys here, and then we can take a look at what they're saying. They're saying for the study, for their study, studies are increasingly suggesting that regular moderate chocolate consumption may lead to significant health benefits. Dark chocolate has the highest cocoa content, which means it has the highest levels of antioxidants, specifically flavonoids, which are molecules that can prevent some forms of cell damage. For the study, Professor Strange and colleagues analyzed the chocolate consumption of 1,153 people aged 18 to 69 who were part of the observation and cardiovascular risk of Luxembourg study. Data on chocolate intake were gathered from participants' completion of food frequency questionnaire. The team set up to investigate whether chocolate intake is associated with insulin resistance, whether the body cells do not effectively respond to insulin, risk type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Reduced insulin resistance with chocolate consumption. That's amazing. So you actually had reduced insulin resistance. So the researchers found that 81.8% of study participants consumed chocolate with an average consumption of 24.8 grams daily. So now 24.8 grams daily. So now this bar here, two slices of this bar, which is about this much of that bar, has about 42 grams. So they had a little bit, maybe just the top portion, which is just 5 slices. So that's half of the serving size. Okay, so 24.8 grams daily. So compared with the participants who did not eat chocolate every day, those who did were found to have reduced insulin resistance and improved liver enzymes levels. Now that's amazing. The effects was stronger the higher the chocolate consumption, team reports. Findings remained after accounting for participants' age, sex, education, lifestyle, and dietary factors that could affect their results. Dietary factors include intake of tea, coffee. So there was basically some results that could have affected some of these some of these results if they were consuming coffee, if they were consuming some other things like green tea or regular tea. So that could have skewed some of that data. But now they accounted for some of those things. So the question is, could dark chocolate be included in dietary recommendation? Professor Strange's and colleagues say their findings suggest that chocolate consumption may reduce the risk of developing cardiometabolic disorders. Reduce the risk of developing cardiometabolic disorders by improving liver enzymes levels and protecting against insulin resistance. This is amazing. So Professor Strangos says, given the growing body of evidence, including our own study, cacao-based products may represent an additional dietary recommendation to improve cardiometabolic health. However, observational results need to be supported by robust trial evidence. Okay, so they want to do some tests and studies, what they've done studies, so they've seen these great results, but now they want to, do a little bit more studies and investigate a little bit more to see if it's gonna, if the results of this particular study are going to repeat themselves in the following studies. But so far right now, the results are great in consuming this dark chocolate. So, however, Professor Stranges notes that it is important to distinguish the difference between chocolate that contains natural cacao and processed chocolate. The later is much higher in calories. So the processed chocolate you want to try to avoid because it has much more calories. Therefore, physical activity, diet, and other lifestyle factors may be carefully balanced to avoid detrimental weight gain over time, he adds. So that's great news, talking about chocolate and talking about we can consume it and talking about that we have actually improved liver enzymes during consuming chocolate and lowering the insulin resistance, which is pretty amazing for news for especially patients who have diabetes type 2 and they're having difficulties controlling that insulin resistance and having problems with that on a daily basis, so they can actually have chocolate as a snack, being able to control their diabetic sugar levels by increasing the liver enzymes. Increasing the fiber content will increase their motility in their digestive tract, their gastrointestinal tract, and it will bring the antioxidants into their body, specifically the flavonoid antioxidants, and increase the levels of decrease the levels of the free radicals that are just swimming around in our bodies. Those flavonoids, what they do is they attach to the free radicals and they help to flush them out of our body. So this is great news, okay? Also, what I want to talk about today, let's just check in on our what's going on here. Okay. All right, so it seems like we're streaming. Yes. Okay. Benefits, particularly when it comes to dark chocolate. So let's just check what you guys are seeing here. talking about chocolate and chocolate consumption, whether it's good for you or not. Now, what I like to do is I like to have a chocolate bar per day. Grams of fiber. Now, that's a lot, but there's flavonoids, which are molecules that can prevent some forms of cell damage. For the study, Professor Strange and colleagues analyzed the chocolate consumption of 1,153 people aged 18 to 69 who were part of the observation and cardiovascular risk of Luxembourg study. Data on chocolate intake were gathered from participants, completion of food frequency. So we're just checking out. There's sometimes that I won't be talking is because I'm just looking at the screens. The first time I'm doing the live stream, and we're just seeing if this is working correctly. So we just talked about the daily consumption of chocolate and how that daily consumption of chocolate can increase the amount of flavonoids inside your body, which will also and concurrently increase the amount of liver enzymes, which are able to moderate the insulin resistance in your body, because that will help patients with type 2 diabetes keeping their blood insulin, blood sugar content low, bringing the blood into the cells, okay, thus decreasing the whole diabetic response in their body. So that's great information. You know, having an extra piece of about a serving of chocolate per day. You know, this is great. This is great information. So now, also, what we're going to talk about today is this is a newsletter from Allergy Surge Group. Allergy Surge Group. In August of 2010, but this information is relevant today. So we're going to talk about why vitamin D is not enough, and some other things that they talk about in this particular newsletter. Okay, so vitamin D is a really important topic. I'm myself learning more about it. Just kind of wanted to bring it into your attention, and you know, talk about that a little bit more. So, a bold new approach in supplementation. This may be done from one of the most controversial positions we have taken ever. So, what they're talking about here is that our subject is vitamin D, but this is not just another vitamin D article. We're offering you a bold and distinctly different perspective with surprising findings that may radically shift the way you look at the astounding nutrient. In a nutshell, though vitamin D deserves to be nominated nutrient of the decade, that's what they're saying, for its amazing properties, the current recommendation and approach to this pro-hormone may be seriously misguided at the times event hormone. The current approach to vitamin D too often dismisses extremely important fat-soluble cofactors, ignores receptors crosstalk that is crucial for optimal health, and misses the potential for the development of serious deficiencies and toxicities if the hugely important variations in lifestyle, genetics, and diet are not taken into account. Vitamin D may be one of the most important nutrients in our nutritional armamentarium, and currently one of the most misunderstood ones. If not given safely with the correct ratios of other fat-soluble nutrients, vitamin D is a tool that turns into a weapon, one that can inadvertently harm As a tool, vitamin D can help us fight infection and slash the risk of multiple sclerosis, diabetes, heart disease, cancer like colon, breast, skin, and prostate, fight osteoporosis, dental caries, lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and depression. There's over 47,000 peer-reviewed studies on vitamin D, stretching all the way back to 1922, with the most recent entries on its powerful role in lupus, fractures, and breast cancers. And yet, despite vitamin D promises, scientists still don't know what optimal levels may truly be. We are a society in the midst of what might be called a vitamin D renaissance. That's what Quest Diagnostics says. For instance, reports that orders the vitamin D test surged more than 50% in 2009, as compared to 2008. Innumerable peer-reviewed journals, as well as newspaper and magazines, have covered what may be nearly pandemic vitamin D deficiency in our society. In 2008, consumers bought 235 million worth of vitamin. They bought 235 million worth of vitamin D supplements compared to 40 million in 2001. What a dramatic difference, of course. One second, we'll be just checking in on our live feed. So, okay. So vitamin D is light transformed. As I write this on a gloomy afternoon, the lovely phrase of nutritionist and vitamin D specialist Crispin Sullivan, interviewed in this issue, keeps signing in my mind. There's a band of light, a very narrow band known as the ultraviolet B, upon which all life depends. That band of light and its capture in storage in our bodies, and vitamin D is one of the great stores of our time. This newsletter is about the vitamin D story, but we offer what we believe is more complete story, the story of vitamin D and it is irreducible helpers, which evolution wove together in an inseparable braid so long ago. This newsletter is also about vitamin A, new findings on carotenes, and new research on vitamin K. So if you just tuned in, what we're talking about here is I'm going over a newsletter from a company called allergyresearchgroup.com, and you can look at their vitamins, and I'm not paid by this company in any way. I'm just reviewing this newsletter because I think vitamin D is an important topic to talk about now in the fall season, pre-winter season, winter season, because we're lacking the vitamins so much, and we are basically, because the reason being is that we're not exposed to sunlight. And to get a good normal amount of vitamin D daily, we need to be exposed at the proper time, which is the time usually considered to be somewhere between after 12 o'clock and before 4 o'clock, which is when the most optimal angle of the sun rays hits us and activates the vitamin D in our bodies. And we need to be exposed, have about 20% of our body exposed to the sunlight for about 20 to 30 minutes. And a lot of us don't do that these days, and a lot of us use so much suntan lotion that there is no absorption of vitamin D at all. So this is a very important topic. So let's get back in there. So this newsletter, the research is stunningly clear. Vitamin D is part of an ancient complex molecular script. In fact, A, D, K, and E work together, and the newest research shows that these lipid-based molecules are all powerful antioxidants, nutrients, which are intricately bound through the shared receptors. They balance and enhance each other, and as a group profoundly influence genes, immunity, inflammation, and the health balance of lipids in our body. So, overview: safely supplement vitamin D and a key concept of the special issue. Okay, modest, regular doses of vitamin D can slowly and safely bring us to optimal levels even in the northern latitudes. So you guys who live north, Vermont, Canada, northern United States, you especially need to be supplementing yourself with vitamin D. So it says, however, regular monitoring with blood tests is crucial due to genetic variations. So you need to go to your doctor and you need to ask for your vitamin D test, and you need to monitor your levels. You don't want to have too much, you don't want to have too low. So monitoring is a very, very important aspect. So yes, you can buy the vitamins, and yes, you can consume them by yourself, but do yourself a favor, consult with your physician, talk to him, monitor yourself. Higher doses of vitamin D being recommended today have never been proven safely, especially long term, and toxicity can show up overnight when fat stores become saturated and excess vitamin D spills in their blood. This can take many months to reverse. So the vitamin D, it's a fat soluble vitamin, so it gets embedded in our fat cells, the deposits. So then what happens is that if you keep consuming and there's too much of the vitamin D consumed, that can be stored in our fat and then later on released back into our body, giving us toxicity. So you need to monitor yourself. Once again, high doses of vitamin D may increase fracture risk in elderly women. So too much can actually do an opposite effect, can increase the fracture risk in elderly women. Women age of 70 years or older who received a single annual high dose of vitamin D had a higher rate of falls and fractures compared to women who received placebo, according to a study in the May of 2010 issue of JAMA magazine, Journal of American Medicine, American Medical Association. Vitamin A deficiency, on the other hand, is more common. We're going to talk about vitamin A a little bit later. Another fact about most vitamin D and AR vitamins are ancient and inseparable team with the evolution has through times they were supplemented together. Okay, vitamin D is the only molecule that we create ourselves from light and turn it into a hormone. So we actually create the vitamin D in our bodies by ourselves by the light from the sun coming into our body, and it gets turned into a hormone, which is the OH25D. An astounding feat when you think about it. Similarly, vitamin A is obtained through the diet as the other dietary lipid-based nutrients that we turn into our. So this is pretty amazing. Vitamin D is actually generated by ourselves with the help of the sunlight. This is just unbelievable. Okay, the marriage of vitamin D and vitamin E, a match made in on Earth. So we're going to talk about vitamin E. Vitamin E is a source of from carotenoids, carrots. That's where it comes from. So this is essentially a conversation about how vitamin D will. Let's check in on our live stream and see what's going on there. Moderate frequency questionnaire. The team set up to investigate with 2 grams. So they had a little bit, maybe just the top portion, which is just 5 slices. So that's not just another vitamin D article. We're offering you a bold and distinctly different perspective with surprising findings that may radically shift the way you look at the astounding nutrient. In a nutshell, though vitamin D deserves to be nominated Nutrient of the Decade, that's what they're saying, for its amazing properties, the current recommendation and approach to this pro-hormone may be seriously misguided at the times of event hormone. The current approach to vitamin D too often dismisses extremely important fat-soluble cofactors, ignores receptors crosstalk that is crucial for optimal health, and misses the potential for the development of serious deficiencies and toxicities if the hugely important variations in lifestyle, genetics, and diet are not taken into account. But so guys, I do apologize because I keep going back and forth. This is my first live stream, so I'm just kind of learning how to do it. So I'm just jumping back and forth between the windows, seeing if everything is working fine. So I do apologize for that. As the future broadcasts will come, I will be able to have a better and a smoother understanding of how this live stream works and stuff like that. But if you guys have any comments or you want to participate in our conversation and you have anything to ask or anything to add, please do so, and hopefully I can find where I can let's see. Okay, so I just opened up the window which says a live chat window, so if any of you guys, while it's still loading, have anything to add or anything to say, please let me know. Let me see if I can open that again. No, I think there seems to be a problem with that. There seems to be a problem with that. Open live chat. Let's see. Okay, I am live. Let's see. Okay. So we're going back. Now we're talking about